Good morning, everybody. It is very early on a Saturday morning, and as much as I want to be in my bed sleeping, I work a full-time job. This is my day off. I know in order to grow my business, I have to get out there and hustle. So this is just a word of advice to make sure that you are doing everything you can to run your business, because nobody else is going to do it for you. So we're gonna go hit up some yard sales. This is actually the best sourcing for me in terms of my ROI, my return on investment. So you definitely want to figure out what that is. And for most people, yard sales, garage sales, estate sales are all going to be worth going out and looking for them. So stay tuned and let us see what we can find and what kind of deals we can get at these yard sales this morning. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to hit that button and hit the bell notification, and YouTube will let you know every time I upload a new video. The first yard sale we hit, there were a lot of toys, and I do tend to look through all of the toys just to make sure I don't see anything vintage or anything that is just really popular at the time. So I do make sure to scan through everything and just make sure that I am doing my due diligence. I didn't see anything there, so I did move on. I did find these pans. They were stainless steel by induction, and some pans are going to go for really good money. But with the comps and everything on on this specific brand, including shipping and all of that, wouldn't have been worth it. So I did go ahead and move on. The second yard sale was right next door, and so I did go ahead and check that out. Their clothes were at mostly between $3 and $5. I try and keep clothes to less than $1 or less. So I did see these two hats. They were vintage. One was a Peterbilt, and they were looked in really good condition. I know that they're a little flat, but there was no rips or tears or sweat marks or anything like that. And when I picked up both of them and I looked up the comps, there wasn't anything amazing, but it was a little bit of profit, especially at $1. If they were selling anywhere between $10 and $15, I would make a profit on them because I could ship them via USPS first class mail. And so I did go ahead and pick those up as well. These shoes in particular, I wasn't really familiar with the brand, but there was a receipt, an original receipt for over $170. And so I did go ahead and just look up the comps and see what type of shoes they were. And they actually were walking shoes. And they were in really good condition. And when I looked them up, they were going anywhere between 25 and 45, depending on the condition, on eBay's app. And when I asked how much they were wanting for them at the yard sale, they were asking for $40. And so even if they went down like by half the price, I still wouldn't have made a profit. And so I did go ahead and pass. I did grab both of those hats, and I just moved on to the next yard sale. This next yard sale was a really good yard sale. It was actually a pretty good learning experience. And you will see me, I always pick up items, so make sure you do that. You can feel the quality of things and the materials of everything. And so definitely just pick things up and fill them and so forth. These shoes also were in really good condition, both of them. And they were asking, I think, $10 a piece for them. When I looked them up on eBay's website, there were none listed and there were none sold either. So I did go ahead and pass on them. Even though it looks like a really good product, you just never know what is selling or what is not. And so you definitely have to look things up. I did move on, and I found this DVD VHS combo by Zenith. And I'm looking at it just to make sure to see what the condition is, and I'm actually trying to find a model number so I can look up the comps on the eBay's app. And I turned it around, and it ended up being that the model number was on the front, and I just overlooked it. And so it didn't come with a remote. That's not always a deal breaker. And so when I looked up the comps, they were really good pricing. And so at the time, I think they were only asking for like $2 for it. And so I did go ahead and feel comfortable picking it up because I knew that it was going to turn a profit in some capacity.
Remote, Dad? What are we selling? $2.
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. Thank you.
You guys online?
I am, yes. Yeah.
That's an old sucker there.
Yeah.
What's your
My handle
handle?
is Pushing Profit.
Okay,
It's on YouTube and Instagram.
Pushing Profit. That's a
Yeah.
good name.
Yeah. I do it part-time. Yeah. So this is just a good example of just talking about your business. This guy was actually pretty curious about my business. So we sat there and talked to him for a little bit about it. And it was just really cool to see. And you will find that. You'll find that people are just really just interested in what you are doing, especially if you're wearing like a GoPro or something like that. So take full advantage of it. You just never know if what kind of connections you will make along the way. So definitely talk about your business. So they did have a lot of tools, and I'm really not familiar with tools. I know it is a goal of mine to just get familiar with them so that I can resell. Obviously, most tools are really heavy, so you do have to be cautious of shipping charges. But tools are literally almost at every yard sale that I go to. And, if you do know anything about tools, I do highly suggest that you look into it further. So I did see this laser level, and it looked in like pristine, brand new condition. And so when I looked it up, I want to say it was selling anywhere between $15 and $20 in terms of the comps on it. And it was really cool because as I was looking it up, the gentleman came over and brought his dad over and was kind of explaining to him what I was doing in the eBay app and how I'm looking things up and I can see what things are going for. And so it was pretty interesting um, experience. I've never had that experience. Some people ask like, "Are you a reseller?" And I say yes. Tell them a little bit about my business, and that was kind of it. But it was just kind of educational. So it was just really cool in terms of getting to talk about it in a little bit more depth than I'm used to. And they were asking $10 for the level. So I was explaining to him, I wouldn't be able to purchase it in for because I wouldn't be able to make a profit on it. And he actually ended up lowering the price to $5, which is really nice because in the end he got $5 and I also was able to make a profit of $5. So it definitely all worked out, and definitely appreciate this family. And they just had a very good positive outlook, especially how early it was in the morning, and they were just um, having a really good yard sale and just talking to all of their customers coming in and out. So it was really fun and definitely a good experience in terms of just talking about my reselling business. And so, again, you never know what kind of connections you are going to make when you're reselling. And I have definitely made some really good connections. And so you definitely want to network because you just never know who you're going to meet and what kind of opportunities will present itself in the future. And so definitely don't be afraid to talk about your reselling business. So I did go ahead, I picked that up. I paid for the Zenith DVD VHS combo as well. And then we decided to move on to the next yard sale. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. So this next yard sale was really cool. They actually had a lot of vintage items and it was fun. This was actually the yard sale that I spent the most time at and the most money at. But of course, I was able to pick up some really cool items. This Yahtzee was in one of the originals, made in the 80s, and it had a lot of the scorecards still, and all of the pieces were there. Everything was good, and when I looked up comps, I had actually just learned pretty recently that people not only sell vintage games online, but they also sell pieces to certain games. And so I did go ahead and pick it up because it was only 50 cents. And I thought, I would take a chance on it, even though the comps were still good. So I don't even think it's that big of a chance that I'm taking on. And then I came across this vintage old school boombox, and I just thought it was really cool. He was asking 20 for it, and we did go ahead and plug it in and test it just to make sure it was working, and it was. He didn't have any tapes to test it, but the speakers were working, the radio was working. It was in a really, really good condition, like very well taken care of. And so I did turn it around and I popped open the battery compartment. You definitely want to do that when you're going to yard sales, thrift stores, and just looking to make sure there's not really, there's not too much battery acid. There was none in this case. But sometimes you'll come across that and you want to be sure that, it's not too excessive because there are some ways that you can actually clean up that battery acid and still have a working electronic. I did look up comps and I asked if he would take $10 and he did take it. So I did go ahead and purchase that. And so I was really happy with that purchase. I want to say they were selling anywhere between 35 and 45. And I thought, well, I could flip that either on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. These Coca-Cola items were not vintage, so I did go ahead and pass on those. I thought they were originally, so that's why I kind of stopped and looked at them. And Brandon called me over and was showing me a product that I had overlooked like 3 or 4 times walking through this yard sale. And this was by far the best find of the day. So this was comping anywhere between $75 and $85 in terms of the sold comps on this certain item. And so I did go ahead and I made my way over to the table just to kind of take a look at the condition. And it's called a Kingdom Come. It was a DC superhero statue. And so when we did look up comps, it was just really a good find. And they were only asking $10. And I didn't, ask if they'd go down from that. I thought it was a fair price. And, they got exactly what they were wanting for the item. And I was able to get an item that I know I could flip. Even if this sold for $50 or $60, it was still going to be a really good profit. Even with shipping everything, I was still going to see something really, really good come off from this, specific item. Right next to it, you'll see there's a couple of vintage dolls. That's actually Laurel and Hardy dolls. And I looked them up and they were just all over the place. They were really cool dolls, but they were selling anywhere between $15 and like $45. And there was nothing really specific about any of them. So I did go ahead and pass on those. So we did pick up the Kingdom Come. Again, I was extremely happy with that purchase. And all because Brandon saw it. So it wasn't even my purchase, but just a good reminder, if you have somebody that can go with you, sometimes you don't catch everything. So this last stop had a whole line of sellers, and we did go through everything, and we just didn't really see too much. So we definitely didn't pick up a lot of things that we can resell. We did grab a couple personal items, but other than that, nothing really too big that we purchased for reselling. But I definitely encourage you to make stops like this because there are times that we've stopped and have definitely picked up some really good items. So I just want to thank you so much for tuning in every week and watching my videos. I really do have a great time making this for you, and I hope you enjoy the content. If there's anything that you would want to see, please be sure to leave it in the comments or message me. I'd love to hear more about what you would like to see in the reselling business. Of course, I'll be making more videos on thrifting trips and just all about my reselling business. So I look forward to many more videos to come. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and that bell notification. Thank you so much, and I will see you next Tuesday.